You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Friday. Or some would call it Halloween. Boo. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. Now, the first broadcast is our live trading room. So to get in there, you got to be one of our traders or taking the 1-week free trial. If you have not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step how to take the trial. It's going to take about 3 minutes of your time. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today, so you have the weekend to kind of get familiar with them. And then your trial will officially begin Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when we go to work. And your trial will run all the way through next Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. Now, there's no credit card required. And you're not just getting access to the live training room. We treat you like you are already a member for 5 consecutive trading days. That means you have not only access to the 2-hour live training room each day, but everything we do the other 22 hours of the day, you're in like Flynn. You have access to everything. And again, there's no credit card required. We simply want you to be able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision at the end of your trial as to whether or not trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. That's everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you have access immediately to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy. You can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That is the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But all you have to remember is youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,000 900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen, this is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. So we're going to dive right into our daily devotional and the topic that we're on now and will be on for a couple of weeks. Learning to share your faith. We're spending so much time on this topic because of its eternal significance. Today's scripture is Mark 12, verse 34. I'm going to share it from the Message translation. When Jesus realized how insightful he was, he said, "You're almost there, right on the border of God's kingdom." After that, no one else dared ask a question. Today's topic, surprisingly close. If you had been with Jesus, you may not have suspected the spiritual openness of this man. He was a teacher of the law. That group gave Jesus the most trouble. A group he condemned for hypocrisy in Matthew 23. While most people in this social group were resistant and hostile to Jesus, one man wasn't. Nor was Nicodemus, a Pharisee counterpart. You want to go to John 3 for more on that. But both men illustrate that a person's religious background or social status does not determine spiritual proximity, but rather it is the response to Jesus. We sometimes make assumptions about other people's spiritual interest or openness based on their background, behavior, or even how they look. I guess that's called spiritual profiling. Okay. Those assumptions are often wrong and keep us from entering into significant conversations about Christ. The only certain way to know where people are spiritually is to talk with them. And again, don't talk at them. Always open with a question. Okay? We've talked about that this entire week. Never assume you know another person's spiritual condition without asking. Now, I want to encourage you. Identify someone that you have assumed is spiritually closed. Ask that person about their religious background. If they decline to share that information with you, just be polite and thank them. If they seem negative, ask if they maybe had a bad experience or have been turned off by religion for some reason. There's so many people out there today who have been hurt by the very church they serve. For now, just make it your goal to understand where that person is, not geographically, but spiritually. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, thank you for showing us that true wisdom begins with loving God and loving others. Draw our hearts closer to you so we won't just be near the kingdom, but fully within it. Teach us to live with compassion, humility, and faith, walking daily in your truth. It's in your name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen and happy Friday. Well, let me give you the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently, the Dow off 22 points. The NASDAQ up 150. S&P 500 up 14. Russell 2000 up 6. My. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 12 cents, trading 60.69 last. Gold up $8.70, trading 40.2460 last. Silver down 9 cents, trading 48.52 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 1,085 points. That's well over 2%. Shanghai dropped 32. The Hang Seng fell 376. That's almost 1.5%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 46. The DAX down 160. The CAC down 39. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. And it is a mixed Radio Friday here in the US of A. We got 3 of the major indices in the green, not by a lot, but in the green nonetheless. And the Dow in the red, but not deeply, only 22 points. So we'll see where we're at by the end of this broadcast. Turning to the global news, King Charles III has stripped his younger brother, Prince Andrew, of all titles and honors, and is evicting him from his royal residence. Prince Andrew, now referred to as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, will move from Royal Lodge to the family's private 20,000-acre Sandringham estate in Norfolk. The announcement comes amid renewed scrutiny over Andrew's relationship with late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and resurfaced allegations of abuse. Earlier this month, the estate of Virginia Guffrey published her memoir, in which she accused Andrew of having sex with her 3 times while underage. Emails from 2011 also reemerged, indicating Andrew's relationship with Epstein continued after he claimed it had ended. The palace's statement said the king's sympathies were with victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. The last royal to be stripped of a prince or princess title was Ernest Augustus in 1919, after siding with the Germans in World War I. A federal judge yesterday suggested she will order the Agriculture Department to tap emergency funds for the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. Funding for the program, colloquially referred to as food stamps, is poised to lapse tomorrow for the first time since its creation in 1964, amid the federal government shutdown. Now, as you know, I'm a man of a certain age. I actually remember when food stamps first became a thing. They were created in, again, 1964. My grandfather, on my dad's side, he was livid. And my grandfather on my mother's side, he was just such a quiet, humble human being. But on my dad's side, my grandfather was a loud, outspoken. He was Archie Bunker, but he was also the sheriff of our little town. He was Archie Bunker with a .38 in his front pocket. He never wore a holster the whole time he was sheriff. He just carried his 38. He never left the house without the 38 being in his front pocket. True story. So anyway, I remember when the food stamp program was created. Remember, before that, there was nothing. There was maybe food banks or soup lines or whatever. But we went from a country where there was no such type of assistance to where there was. But then, as generations went on, there was a joke when I was a kid growing up. What does your dad do for a living? He goes to the mailbox once a month. That meant he was getting his welfare check or his food stamps. Food stamps used to be a physical thing. Now it's just loaded onto an electronic debit card. Now, I'm not speaking anything negative about anyone that received government assistance. I mean, hey, that's what it's there for. And I think that is a good thing. But over the years, so many people have abused the system. It's just incredible. I encourage you, sometime when you got nothing better to do, maybe you're sitting on the toilet, Google food stamp abuse in American history. It will blow you away. Now, I'm all for everyone who is in need. I don't think anybody should go hungry. I don't think anybody should go without medical care. But yet I'm still not a believer in the fact that this $1.5 trillion to provide health care for people in this country illegally has kept our government closed for 30 days. That's a different issue, okay? Democratic officials from 25 states and Washington, D.C. sued the Agricultural Department Tuesday for refusing to tap into a roughly $5 billion contingency fund to sustain SNAP. The Trump administration says the fund is intended for specific emergencies, such as natural disasters, and is insufficient to deliver full November benefits. SNAP costs roughly $8 billion per month, providing about $190 average monthly payments to nearly 42 million people. Now, again, of these 42 million people, a vast, no, I'm not going to say a majority, but a vast number of that 42 million are people in this country illegally. During previous government shutdowns, administrations have issued grace periods and special funding transfers to ensure uninterrupted benefits. Republican and Democratic governors have announced initiatives to support SNAP recipients, so it's being passed on to the states at this point. Well, tonight I'll be turning off my front light and sitting in the back of the house. I won't be watching ABC, though, because this YouTube TV I've been bragging so much about. Disney, who now owns ABC, they couldn't agree on a price with YouTube for their content. So today, and I've got a news article I'll go over with you, it's been yanked. And I'm kind of bummed because I think some of the shows that I really like on Friday night, Sheriff Country, Fire Country, and Boston PD. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a spinoff of Blue Bloods where Detective Danny, well, I don't want to spoil it for you. I think that's on the ABC network, so I may have to break out an antenna and go put it up on the roof so I can just watch it in real time with commercials. I thought for sure YouTube would get this worked out. Oh, they yanked ESPN as well. Disney, I guess, owns ESPN and ABC. So, anyway. Tonight, an estimated 41 million children will flood neighborhoods across America in search of tricks or treats. With nearly 3/4 of households participating, spending is expected to reach $13.1 billion, up 13% from last year, as families spend an average of $114 each on costumes, decorations, and candy, totaling $4.3 billion, $4.2 billion, and $3.9 billion, respectively. I was at Lowe's the other day, which is like a Home Depot if you don't have one in your town. They have Halloween yard ornaments. They've got like these witches and other monsters that are like, I don't know, 15 feet tall. I don't even know how you'd get the thing home, but they're selling for like $300-400. So here we are in a country with the government shut down and the SNAP benefits about to end, and spending this Halloween is up 13% over last Halloween. What am I missing here? The spooky celebration traces back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which marked the end of summer and the start of winter. Irish immigrants brought those traditions to America in the 19th century, blending pagan rituals with All Saints' Day to create today's Halloween. About 36% of Americans say Halloween is their favorite holiday. What? With New York City ranking as the best place to celebrate. Top costumes this year include characters from K-pop Demon Hunters, the Minecraft Chicken Jockey, and Labubu dolls. That's out of my wheelhouse. Anyway, if I hadn't said it yet. Ooh. All right, let's see what's going on down Wall Street way. The government shutdown is less than a week from breaking the record as the longest in U.S. history. As economic pain points begin to mount, President Trump has called for Senate Republicans to eliminate the filibuster to force an end to the shutdown. On Truth Social, Trump said this: "The choice is clear. Initiate the nuclear option." The nuclear option? We're going to nuke the Democrats? Well, no. I don't think that's what it means, but let's go on. Trump's call throws a potential wrench into GOP leaders' carefully laid plans. Both parties have, in recent years, taken steps to erode the filibuster, a Senate rule that requires most legislation to abide by a 60-vote threshold. But both parties have stopped short of eliminating the rule, fearing repercussions upon losing control of the chamber. Trump's comments also came amid rumors on Capitol Hill that negotiations could finally be in the offing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune offered a marked shift this week when he voted new energy for work on bipartisan government appropriations, and even suggested he would be meeting with Democrats pretty soon to talk about ending the shutdown completely. In focus before lawmakers return next week are Trump administration plans to not fund SNAP starting this weekend. Those benefits are received by roughly 1 in 8 Americans, or 1 in 8 people in this country. With the economic and human costs of a cutoff likely to mount quickly. More than 24 states unveiled a lawsuit, of course, to try and block the suspension of benefits. Well, However, Wall Street, U.S. stocks bounced back today, on track for weekly gains as Wall Street embraced strong earnings from Amazon that eased doubts about prospects for big tech. Amazon's up 10% on the session based on their earnings. Netflix is up too. Let me tell you why. Yesterday, they announced they're going to split their stock 10-for-1, meaning Netflix shareholders will receive 10 shares for every 1 share of the company they currently own. Netflix stock, as a result, will trade at 1/10 of its current price. Shares closed at $1,089 per share yesterday. So if you owned 10 shares of Netflix, you now own 100 shares. But the value of your holdings is still the same. Now, back in the day, they used to do stock splits when a stock got, pricey like this. They would do a split. I mean, Microsoft has split probably 100 times. But they would do the split to bring the price down so that more people could afford to invest and buy shares. But now you have brokers like Robinhood offering fractional share ownership, which means like you don't have to buy a whole share of Netflix. You can buy $10 worth or $20 worth. So there's got to be another reason behind why Netflix is doing this. Well, number one, it was good for the stock, though. It's up over 3% on the session. In a statement, the company said the move was being made to reset the market price of the company's common stock to a range that will be more accessible to employees who participate in the company's stock option program. Aha, there we go. Yeah. Also, Reuters reported that the company was actively exploring a bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD. Don't they own Disney? Man, we got to get ABC back on YouTube, or I'm going to have to change streaming services again, or go to that dreaded Hulu. I don't like that. From Bloomberg, Donald Trump sounded triumphant afterwards, but in his first meeting with Chinese counterpart Xi, since returning to office in January, the U.S. president had to give at least as much as he got. You know what? I disagree with this. I'm going to share it with you anyway. Trump declared the two leaders had settled their differences on one of the thorniest issues, a major source of Beijing's leverage, access to China's rare earths. There's no roadblocks at all on rare earth, he said Thursday aboard Air Force One. That will hopefully disappear from our vocabulary for a little while. What Trump chalked up as a win for the global economy as well as the U.S. was China's agreement to wait 1 year before implementing a sweeping regime of export controls for critical minerals that are crucial in all kinds of industries. Those new curbs are still in the pipelines and older ones are still in place. So, of course, the left says that China got the better end of the deal. Trump says we got the better end of the deal. I've looked at it all, and I think we got exactly what we went looking for. I don't see where we gave up much. I mean, we went there to negotiate, not to browbeat them. I'm not saying they don't deserve being browbeaten, but anyway. Tesla chair Robin Denholm said this week that the company's upcoming Cybercab could be shipped with a few tweaks, a steering wheel and pedals. It doesn't sound earth-shaking, but it's a big deal. Here's why. The Cybercab may solve a big problem for Tesla. It could be converted into the long-awaited cheaper EV, aka the Model 2. Tesla unveiled the Cybercab, a robo-taxi vehicle that lacks steering wheels and pedals, a little over a year ago at a splashy event on the Warner Brothers studio lot. The Cybercab, it was said, would be built using a new unboxed manufacturing process, which would be cheaper, likely use simpler and larger cast parts, and have only 2 seats. and it would cost around $25,000 to $30,000. Now, how are you going to have a taxi with only 2 seats? Elon Musk's soaring vision for a robotaxi future hinges on all existing Tesla vehicles functioning autonomously, but also on the upcoming Cybercab being a success that expands Tesla's overall fleet of vehicles. Part of Musk's vision is that the Cybercab remains purely as a car without pedals or a steering wheel. He has in the past questioned the point of offering a cheaper EV, though many analysts disagree with him. And Tesla's up $14 a share, over 3% on the news on the session. Last from Wall Street. Yep. What do we got? From Bloomberg. A record-smashing rally in mega-cap high flyers shows no signs of stopping as blowout earnings readouts from companies including Amazon and Apple defied warnings of a tech bubble. The Magnificent Seven Index is set for its 7th consecutive monthly gain, a streak that was exceeded just once ever. You know, I don't want to be known as a doomsday prophet, so I'm just going to say, be careful. Talk to your broker. I'm not saying you should run out and sell all your stocks because the market's going to come to an end. I'm not saying that. I'm saying talk to your broker. Get some professional licensed advice, okay? And pray. More than anything, pray. Ask God what you should do. Now, here's the tricky part about asking God what to do. When he tells you, you got to actually do it. Multiple people have been accused of planning a potential terrorist attack in Michigan over the Halloween weekend. FBI Director Kash Patel made that announcement today. Details about the suspects, and their alleged plans have not yet been made public. Patel said multiple subjects were arrested in Michigan this morning. Sebastian Gorka, deputy assistant to President Donald Trump, said federal agents disrupted a jihadi terror plot meant to hurt children in Detroit. Do you remember those few years when we were kids, when there were some nutcase was putting like razor blades in apples? I mean, and for a while, for a few years, parents were like afraid to take their kids trick-or-treating, or they would take them to a mall and the stores would give them candy. So this is a developing story. That's all the news I have on it so far. According to News Nation, the United States could be headed for a recession, as economists point to key unofficial indicators amid the government shutdown. In early October, Moody's Analytics chief economist told Fortune magazine that the economies of 22 states are contracting and that many lower and middle income households are hanging on by their fingertips. One of the clearest indicators of an economic slowdown has been an increase in overdue car payments. Nearly 6.5% of subprime borrowers. Now, what's a subprime borrower? That means your credit score is below 670, or at least 60 days late on their car loans. Nearly double the rate seen in 2021. Cars are being repossessed at the highest rate since the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009, yet we're spending 13% more on Halloween than we did last year. At the same time, pawn shop operators are reporting a boom in lending. First Cash, the largest pawn company in the country, said same-store pawn loans at the end of June were up 13% from a year earlier. EasyCorp, which operates hundreds of pawn stores across the U.S., said outstanding loans rose 11% last quarter to more than $291 million. GoFundMe's CEO has said there's been an increase in users launching campaigns to help pay for essentials such as a car payment or groceries. Typically, these unofficial indicators and warnings of an economic downturn are paired with government economic data to gauge how close or far we are to a downturn. But because of the government shutdown, which is now stretched to a month, there's no federal data to provide the guidance. And as I mentioned, Disney networks, including ESPN and ABC, were pulled from YouTube TV after the two companies failed to reach a new distribution deal before their contract expired last night. The dispute between the two media giants on the price YouTube TV pays Disney for access to its content. In a statement yesterday, YouTube TV said it was unable to reach a fair deal, and that if the service disruption continues for an extended period, members will receive a $20 credit. The blackout of Disney networks on YouTube TV comes ahead of a packed sports weekend with several major college football games scheduled to air on ABC. Now, I'm going to tell you, YouTube TV is pretty great. It's got the lousiest interface in the world, but content-wise, it was I really liked it. This is the third consecutive month that access to sports content from networks such as Fox and NBC Universal has temporarily gone offline on YouTube TV due to contract disputes. In a statement to the Wall Street Journal, Disney accused YouTube TV's parent company, Google, of using its market dominance to eliminate competition and undercut the industry standard terms we've successfully negotiated with every other distributor. YouTube TV has an estimated 10 million subscribers, according to The Athletic, making it the fourth largest TV distributor in the U.S. What's really cool about YouTube TV is, you can take it with you wherever you go. You're in a doctor's waiting room, some show you missed last night, but you've got it recording on YouTube TV. Just open up your phone, go to the YouTube TV app, and you have access. Because, you see, one of the really nice things about YouTube is there's no equipment involved. There's no set-top boxes, nothing. It just comes in through the internet. Now, if you have a smart TV, you're just good to go. Just got to log in. If your TV is a nice big flat panel, but it's not a quote-unquote smart TV, then you got to plug in like an Amazon Fire Stick into the back of it, and voila. Now it's a smart TV. Upstairs in my bedroom, we have a smart TV, but downstairs in the living room, we got a very nice TV, but it's not very smart. So we have a Fire Stick plugged in the back, and it works just great. So, anywho, that's all the news I got for you. Go to the local news. And when I say local news, what do I mean? Logic 247. Yes, sir. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, though. Oh, no. It's also crude gold and silver. We're currently in week 378. That's a little over 7 years. Here, it's been a while since we did this. 378. No. 378. 378. Divided by 52. Oh, come on. Sorry, even. 378. Divided by 52. 7.26 years. Okay, so a little over 7 years. Over the last little over 7 years, we've issued over 20,800 individual Logic 247 alerts. Now, what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. This week, since the markets opened this past Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 58 alerts. Still waiting on the outcome of 19. 3 of them never triggered. Now, as you can see, Valerie did the recap this morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So this afternoon or early evening, she will update it and finalize it for the week. So out of 58 alerts issued and still waiting on 19, I'm sure some of those got filled today, I'm guessing. But at the time of the recap, we had 36 actionable alerts, of which 5 or 14% would have been stopped out, again based on simple market structure and your ability to be able to read the chart, which is something we teach all of our passport holders. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, and an initial target, in most cases additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The logic alerts are created to help you learn how to read a chart. Yes, you can trade them. That's the bonus, okay? But if you never trade a single logic alert, please use them to learn to read the chart, okay? And while you're there, you might as well trade it as well, but that's entirely up to you, okay? Now, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m., 2 p.m. I think last night it was like 8 p.m. I don't know. Anyway, I put out some. So, futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, 378 weeks, obviously a very long time, but quite a few years before we rolled out Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. They're different in a lot of different ways, but for the purpose of this discussion, let me just say they don't come out around the clock. They're published as a static report shortly before the Globex Open each evening. The Friday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. All of our traders, and even our trial members, had all of these targets 5 minutes ahead of the market open. So when we go through the individual markets and you see these targets drawn on, okay, remember, if you're with us, you had the targets 5 minutes ahead of the open. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Okay? So with that, you can actually go to the charts. And we start with the bellwether. That would be the S&P 500 E-mini futures. And you see the step line? Yesterday I talked about how it was in the process of crossing blue and climbing. It's still in the process, but look where price is. Okay? Now, your next major area for potential support is going to be yesterday's low. 68.51. Yesterday's low. See, this is yesterday's candle. Here's today's candle. Yesterday's low, 68.51. Then you've got last Friday's high. Come on. 68.41 and a quarter. Then you got the 62% fib extension, 68.24. That's where the market closed last Friday. Now, all week we've been waiting for this gap to fill. There was a huge gap Sunday night. Now, with futures and especially the indices, you don't see too many gaps because the futures market's always open, except for an hour a day and Saturday and part of Sunday. With stocks, you see gaps practically every day. But when you have a gap Sunday night on the indices, that is one of our most reliable, dependable trades. Because those gaps almost always fill within a couple of hours. And I mean almost always, as in like, I don't know, 90% of the time. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Sometimes it actually takes a couple days. That's kind of rare. This, very rare. But I'm going to say if we take out yesterday, Thursday's low, right there. If we take that out, then I think we go into free fall and close the gap. If we don't close it today, I'm going to guess we close it Sunday night. Okay? Now, we've got major support at yesterday's low, and then last Friday's high, then last Friday's close, 68.24 to 62% fib extension. And then below that, we've got the daily BBC and the 50% fib extension. Price always reverts to the mean. What does that mean? Okay, I'll tell you. In our case, the mean is green. It's this green line. We call it the BBC. It stands for bull-bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. Like that. When price crosses above the green line, well, then we're bullish and we expect higher prices. Now, as I said, price always reverts to the mean, or in our parlance, price pulls back to the BBC. Means the same thing. And as you can see, the pullback held, the pullback held, the pullback held until it didn't hold. Okay. Now we're on the north side of the BBC, and guess what? The pullback held. And the pullback held. And the pullback held. And it has held every pullback since April 24th. Okay. Even this 6-day pullback. While I just spoke about how unusual this is, this was equally unusual. We had a pullback that lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. See, every one of those candles is physically touching the BBC. For us to say that the pullback didn't hold, we would need price to come down to the BBC. Okay. Then we would need a candle to open and close below the BBC. Like back over here. We closed above, but at that point, the pullback was still holding. The following day, April 25th, we opened and closed above the green line. Okay, so now we've officially gone from bear to bull. And so that's what we would need to happen here. You know, when price comes down to the BBC, it's usually good for a bounce. But after the bounce, we need a candle to open and close below the BBC to go back to being bearish in our overall look as opposed to bullish. Is this an overextended rally? Yes. Hey, in 1999, nobody thought tech stocks would ever go down. What a rude awakening 2000 brought, didn't it? Okay, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Both the Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade alerts. The vertical line separates today, Friday. This is Thursday. Over here is Wednesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. We've published the zones every week for our members for almost 16 years. December 14th of this year will mark 16 years. They come out Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. See, support, support, and then we trade it through. Okay, but then again, overnight, or what time was that? That was 10 o'clock this morning. Okay, we came right down to the zone that was published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, and the market found support. Support will always send the market looking for resistance. Price always reverts to the mean. Price always pulls back to the BBC, and the pullback held. And so that sent us back down to the weekly trading zone a second time during this session. And then we finally traded through it, and we came within a few ticks of the short target. Let's see what the low was on this. Come on. Come on. 56.5. Okay, so we missed it by 1.5 points, but it looks like we're going to probably get there on this current candle. Okay. Now remember, these targets were issued 5 minutes before the market opened last night. Now, when price drops to a zone, that's what we expect. Support until proven otherwise. But see how the pullback held? Overnight was just kind of a muddled up mess. On the Dow, here's where we opened last night. We're below the BBC, so we expect lower prices, but red and falling turned to blue and climbing, so that kind of messed that up. Finally, price came down to the zone, found support, and it bounced us up to you see this bearish cross? That's when the red line gets below the green line and leads to an extended move. The first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. If you look at the horizontal line on my cursor, you'll see that's exactly what that high is right there. Okay? Now, these two highs right here, that's just a little bit of an overshoot. Basically, the opening candle last night where we opened, that's what you're seeing here. Okay? But right here, you're seeing the effect of the bearish cross. Resistance. Now, that is a very, very predictable, you can count on it. Let me just say that. Does it happen every time? 9 out of 10 times? Well, we'll go 8 out of 10. How about that? So we hit the zone and we bounce into resistance. And then we hit the zone again, support. We bounce into resistance. The pullback held. That sends us back down. We're now back down to the zone for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, for the 5th candle. The actual zones, 47, 615/620. I just put one of the lines on because I like to keep my charts clean. And I would say that before this broadcast ends, we're probably going to hit the weekly trading zone, which was, or not the weekly trading zone, but the short target, which was based off those lows from yesterday. We're almost there. On the Russell, we opened right at a weekly zone last night. Now, when price encounters a weekly zone, only one of 3 things happens. 70% of the time, it's consolidation. 20% of the time, it's rejection. See that? Rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens, like you see this 30-minute candle, it sliced through the zone like it wasn't even there, but when it ran out of steam, what did it do? It retraced back to the zone it sliced through, and then it continued in the direction of the slice. So remember, with the weekly zones, when price encounters a zone, one of three things will happen. Okay? Consolidation, rejection, or the slice. And of course, when price drops to a zone, we expect support. And when we rally up to a zone, we expect resistance. With me? Okay. So, right now, 2466, 2464. That's a trade I would take. 66 to 64. Not telling you should take it. I'm just telling you I would. Because you got to expect support here until proven otherwise. Okay. Now, if the move has momentum, you could let it go all the way to the short target. And it might even go further. So that's why you got to look at multiple time frames. Yes, use your range chart to execute with surgical precision, but use a 30-minute chart or a time frame, a time-based chart of your choosing. Okay, I chose 30 minutes. You can choose whatever you want, so that you have a big picture idea of what's happening. Obviously, we're in a downtrend. Back on Wednesday, we had a high. Thursday, we had a lower high, and then a lower high, and now today, a lower high. That's the definition of a downtrend. Okay. And we got lower lows. So now we did make a run towards the long target, and we almost made it to the bearish cross. We didn't quite get there. That's a sign of weakness. Okay. And so down we come. We hit the zone, we consolidated, now we're trading through. All right. Next place for potential support, this low right here, and then the short target. NQ, we opened right at a weekly trading zone. Now, this is the highest weekly zone for the NQ, 26,164/65. Earlier in the week, when we got above it, I said by close of business on Friday, based on the last almost 16 years of history, we expect price to be at or below the highest weekly trading zone. So we opened last night, we consolidated. Every time we came back to the zone, support, then ding ding, we ran up, we rang the bell. Okay, now that long target is just market structure. That's all it is. Okay, I can teach you market structure in a week. So price gets below the BBC here, right? Okay. Then we get a retracement back to the zone and the BBC. That's resistance times 2. And now where are we headed? I guess probably to the short target. Now, if you just traded 25,920, if you traded 920 to 900, that's $400 per contract traded. Now, what if you wanted to be more aggressive than that? Let's say you're going to trade no, that's too much. Let's say you're going to sell 910 down to 890. That's still only 20 points. All right. It's just, come on, Governor. All right. So now we're talking, let's call it 910 down to 870. That's 40 points at $20 a point. This rectangle is worth $800 per contract traded. Right there. It's a compelling opportunity. Crude oil. Here's where we opened last night. We're below the BBC, so we expect lower prices. And boom, there we go to the short target. Market finds support. It's going to look for resistance. Pullback held. Send us back to the short target again. Then we close above the BBC. And we run up to the zone above. Resistance. That resistance sends us back to the short target. Support. And that sends us up across this zone. We spiked this zone at 9 o'clock this morning. And now we've just pulled back to the VBC, the step line cross. We pulled back. We got blue and climbing directly above price. So be careful on the long side because you got potential resistance right there at 60.93. Okay. All right. When I come back, we'll pick up here. Michael's going to give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room this morning. I will then come back and complete the recap and wrap things up with our good word for the day. Keep in mind, Michael will be out next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. However, the room will be open in the morning. Our traders are going to see how well they do without Michael in their ear. And they're going to make lists of things they don't know and don't understand, and can't wait for him to come back and answer on Thursday at the members only workshop Thursday night. Your charts look good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So my charts look okay, and this is right.
Yeah, but let me tell you what's wrong with the world. Disney could not reach an agreement with YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
So ABC TV and ESPN are no longer a part of the YouTube TV package. And I'm mad. Some of my favorite shows come on ABC on Friday night. I think it's ABC, Sheriff Country, Fire Country, and Boston PD, which is a spinoff of Blue Bloods. I don't know if did you ever watch Blue Bloods?
No.
Oh, God, that was such a great show. Tom Selleck was police commissioner of New York City.
Oh, yeah. I think I've actually seen it.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Great show.
Didn't watch it regularly, but
anyway, I guess Selleck wanted to retire, so they ended Blue Bloods, and now we have Boston PD. His son, Danny, the detective, has moved to Boston to hang out with his son, who became a cop after going to college in Boston. So, anyway. Now, I'm going to have to go put an antenna up on my roof, I guess, so I can get ABC. Actually,
rabbit ears.
Yeah, I think my Fire Stick. I think my Fire Stick will pick up local channels. If not, I have one of these little plug-and-play antennas that magically snatch network programming out of the air. Say goodbye to those horrific cable bills. You can get them at the dollar store.
Can you really?
Yeah, and they sell them on TV for $19.95. Yeah, they work.
And as seen on TV, I buy stuff in that section all the time.
Yeah. It was a running joke in our family for a long time when it was my wife's birthday or Christmas. Me and the kids would go out shopping at Walmart or whatever, but we always had to go to Walgreens because they had an aisle as seen on TV. It wasn't Christmas, it wasn't birthday if there wasn't something that you saw on TV under the tree.
At that casino we stayed at in Foxwoods, last time we went up to Connecticut, Jade and I did, they have inside the mall, inside the casino, they have a whole store that is as seen on TV. The whole store is as seen on TV.
Hey, that casino that you were at, was it one of those cashless casinos? where you
Yes.
don't hear the sound of coin. Man, I had to have this lady instruct me. Like I was, like, she's probably thinking, man, this old guy doesn't understand how computers work. But you got to go, and we didn't spend any of our own money. Just
Yeah, neither did
because
we. We
we
spent.
stayed in the room, they give you like 20. They gave us each like $20 on a card that we could
Yep.
spend at the games, and we ended up cashing out and walking away with $15 more than we walked in with. But we
We
never.
walked away with like 83 cents, I think.
Well, that's good. Anytime you walk away a winner. We never wagered our own money though, just the house's
No,
money.
neither
So.
did we. We
Of course, me,
it was the same thing for us. We got $25 to play with.
I stuck my card in, and I just immediately hit cash out. I just wanted my $20, and it's like no. No, you can only withdraw your winnings. You can't
Right.
withdraw the house's money. So okay,
Yeah.
all right, we'll do it the hard way.
We just kept the little ticket as a souvenir.
Oh yeah, the little ticket. Yeah. All right, I'll let you do your thing.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is, it's Friday, the 31st day of October. It's Halloween. Yeah, boo. I was a couple minutes late because I got caught up talking to Christina, the health aide, and she dressed up as a sloth for Halloween. So she's all excited about giving candy away at our house.
The government,
like 300 kids.
The government shut down, and the SNAP benefits run out, like I guess at midnight tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Americans spent 13% more on Halloween stuff this year than they did last year. What kind of an upside down world is this?
I know.
And at Lowe's, they had these giant, like, I don't know, 15, 20-foot tall monsters that move and talk. I don't know how you would even get it to your house.
Oh, my neighbor's got 2 of those on his lawn.
They're like $400 a piece.
Yeah.
They say it's the most popular holiday in America. Beats out Christmas. Unbelievable.
Really?
Unbelievable. Okay, bye.
All right, here we go. So if you haven't taken a free trial, click on this link right here. It's going to bring you to the registration page, and just fill out the form. Right down at the bottom, gives you TradingView login ID. If you want to get your indicators indicating on your desktop, give us that TradingView login ID. If you don't have one yet, click on this link and go get one. All right, make sure you get real-time data. If you don't have real-time data, you're going to be disappointed because you won't be able to keep up with what's going on. All right, so we had a pretty good day today, not as good as yesterday. But overall, on average, we did well this week. I think, let's just add that all up. Let's take this to this. Copy it and just go to some random place, paste it. It didn't paste. Paste it. No matter. I'm not gonna bother with it. I can do it manually in my head. So those 2 right there, they're about $3 grand, 3,200, 7,700, 7,800 bucks this week, just about with one contract. It's a pretty good week. Anyway, this is how we're going to end the week. $997.50 is what we got today. It was 124 ticks on the NQ, 31 ticks on the YM, 21 ticks on gold, and 1 tick on the ES. Now, as far as the day went, I think the gold is the only one we finished at the high. The gold we finished at the high of the day. The NQ, we were up as high as 153, I think, something like that, at one point. The YM, we were up to 46 at one point. The ES, actually, the ES were at 4 at one point. Actually, 5 on the ES at one point. Yeah, we're at 5 at one point on the ES. So gold is the only one we finished at the high of the day. Today it took 5 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $130 with one contract at 1,310. Took a total of 41 trades today. It still seemed like a lot of trades, and they were mostly all in the beginning, but today, we stopped out 8 times today, just like yesterday, but we had half as many trades, so that put us at 80.48% of our trades today were break even or better. On the month now, we're at $28,895 over 22 business days, averaging $1,313 per contract per 2-hour business day. We are now at 599 trading days since our last red day. That's a lot of days since the last red day. Trading days, that's years. since I last read day. I'm not going to load. Dwayne, I meant to mention this morning. Well, I'll tell you later when I come back. When you come back. Anyway, on the year, we're at $230,812. That's over 190 trading days, averaging $1,214 per contract per 2-hour trading. Remember, I want to keep that number at 1,200 by the end of the year. Let's keep that number, 1,200 or better. Doing the 24/20 blueprint so far this year. And I bring up the question box in case anybody asked any questions. Nobody did. Okay, doing the 24/20 blueprint so far this year. You would have only had to work 26.41 hours and be up $107,807 if you quit trading when you got the goal for the day. You did everything just like me, and your goal was $100 per contract. Now, when I come back on Thursday next week, this number will be based on 11 contracts. All right, I'm going to still be trading 10. I'm going to trade 10 all year. I'm going to just keep trading 10 forever now. But but this number will be based on 11 contracts starting on Thursday, and then 12 contracts in December. Yeah, so that's all that stuff. Now, let's get into the actual trades. We didn't have that many trades, but the majority of them are on the NQ, so I'm just going to go right across. We'll start out with the gold. Yeah, something to my shoulder. We'll start out with the gold. Back. Here. All right. Here on the gold. The first trade here on the gold. That is not where we got the gold today. We got 5 ticks on the first trade, then 12 on the second to get us to 17, then a break even, and ouch. Then went from 17 to 27. And then we stopped out and went from 27. That number doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We went from 5 to 17. We didn't go to 27. I forgot to add this in, whatever that was right there. So we went 2 to break even, then we went to 17. That's what we did. 2 to break even, then we went to 17. And then we stopped out and went down to 2. Okay, that makes sense. Then we went down to 2. And then went from 2 to 7. That makes sense. And then we went to 9. And then from 9 went to 11, 11 to 14. Break even, then 14 to 19. And then one more over here, we went from 19 to 21. And that was it for us with the gold. During the break, let's see, during the break, there was not much at all during the break. One trade right here, that would have been stop out. None of those were trades. None of those were trades. One trade right here would have worked out. Trade here that would have been a break even. A trade here that would have worked out really nicely. Wow, look at that big tank right there on gold. I didn't realize it had gone down that far. Look at all that. Those huge gaps in there on gold. Now, I was saying this morning when gold started, there was a period this morning where gold started to have a spread in it. It does right now too. But this morning, there was a period where gold started to trade really, really thin and it had a spread in it, but there was nothing going on. I was wondering why. But anyway, you can see gold had a huge move down, and looking at it, this looks like it recovered most of it. Let me look at this on a larger time frame here. Yeah. See that last candle. This was the huge down candle right here. I don't know what the heck happened to me that candle go down like that. When the European markets closed, bam, down it went. And well, it started to recover a little bit of it, but it hasn't got anywhere near recovering the whole thing. Wow, that's a huge candle. Anyway, we ended up with plus 21 ticks on again, plus 21 ticks on gold. And that was it for the gold this morning. YM. Again, on the YM, we did not end at the high of the day, but we started out over here. Okay, all the way over there. It's not that many trades here. Here we are. We started out with this one right here. We ended up with +5 on that. Then we stopped out there. That put us at -10. Then we had a 15 tick trade there that got us to +14 tick trade that got us to +4. Then 3 that got us to 7. Then 2 that got us to 9. Then 25, 9, 26 that got us to 35, something like that. Then went from 35 to 36 right there, and 36 to 46 right there. Then we stopped out right there. That put us down to 31. And that was our last trade on the YM, was that stop out down to 31. During the break, it looks like there was one trade right there that would have been another stop out. I had the same kind of gapping going on in here. A trade right there that would have worked out. 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 A trade right there that would have worked out. All the way over here, there was a trade right there that would have worked out. And a trade here that would have worked out. And that was it. So there's some nice trades during the break on the YM. The ES, we ended with one tick on the ES. Didn't have a ton of trades. A handful of trades, even less than a handful. Start out with a break even right here. Now that ended up being a huge run right there, but we started out with break even. Then we picked up 4 ticks on that one. 1 tick there that got us to 5. Then we stopped out, we're at -5. Then we picked up 6 ticks right there, and that got us to +1. And that was our whole morning with the ES. Now, did the ES have? Yeah, the ES had the same thing in here. The European markets closed. Big gap. And what did it have for trades? This was a trade here. That was a trade there. That was a break-even trade right there. That was a trade. That was a trade. That was a trade. And we're almost to a trade again right now on the ES. We need a down close right here on the ES. Down close on the ES would be a short trade right now. So that was it for the ES for us today. Okay, if we get that down close, we'll take the trade. I'm giving it a second because I do think it's going to happen. All right, still waiting. Waiting. There it comes. There it is. Ding ding. And here it is. And I believe my stop just went to break even. We're going to lock in 1 tick on that. 2 ticks on that. And we're out with 2 ticks on that ES trade. Okay. So the NQ now. The NQ is where we had the majority of our trades. So let me go all the way back here on this. There'll be a ton of bars here on the NQ. I'm curious at 11:30 when the European markets closed if the NQ had a big move too. Okay. So here, our first trade on the NQ, we picked up 16. Then from 16, we went to 37. Now this was on a 39 range. That's why it doesn't look like it really pertains to an actual trade here. When I started out, I had it on the wrong time frame. Then we went from 16 to 37. It looks like. What's that? 57. It went to 57. Okay, and then after that, we switched back to the 19 range, went from 57 to 81. Then we went from 81 to 82. Then we stopped out. We went back down to 57. And then we went to 65. Now the light blue ones I screwed up. Went from 65 to 69 on that. And we stopped out somewhere in here. We missed one here, went from 69 to 72, and then we stopped out, went from 72 down to 47. Right there, and that was a mistake, that stop out. And from 47 to 51, then 51 to 55, then 55 to 59, then 59 to 66, then 66 to 60. I went from 59 to 60, then 60 to 64. Okay, then 64 to 109. Then 109 to 110, 110 to 122, then 122 to 126, 126 to 151, and then 151 to, can't really read my writing there, 153, I think. And then we stopped out and we went down to, is it 153? And we went down to one something, I can't read my writing, but it's like 127 or something like that after that stop out. And then we went up to 134, and then went from 134 to 138, 138 to 151, 151 to 159. Then we stopped out from 159 and went down to 124. And that was our final trade on the NQ. So we ended up stopping out on the NQ and the YM for final trades in the morning session, which is no fun at all, but it is what it is. This, almost a trade right here. Not quite, but almost. I think, come Monday, I'm going to write some code in here. One will get rid of the colors on these YBR, on the YBR right there. And the other one, I think I might add color into this midpoint line right here. So those of you guys that have access to the midpoint, come Monday when you start the charts up, I won't be here, but you may have that thing. And what it's going to show, it'll correspond with the color down here. All right, so if you're in the oversold down here, you'll know it when you're up here. Okay, and if you're not in the oversold, it'll stay black. But if you are in the oversold, it'll go green. Or if you're in the overbought, it'll go red. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I could color this line just like this line's colored down here. These are colored down here. All right. So during the break, there was not a trade here because it didn't get into the overbought. There was a trade right here. That looks like it worked out pretty well. Was a trade there that looks like it would have stopped out. A trade here that worked out. Then there was a gap here. The same kind of action that was in all the other markets. It was there too. Not a trade, 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 not a trade. This was a trade right here. That would have been a nice trade right there. This over here would have been another nice trade. And this right here would have been an okay trade, not a great trade, but just an okay trade. This would have been an okay trade right there. This right here. It wasn't really flat, and that would have been a trade. This would have been a good trade right there. That would have been a pretty good trade right there. This would have been a good trade right here. And this would have been a good trade right there. And that was it. That was it. So that brought us to a total of 124 ticks on the NQ. That's where we ended. The high was 150 something. It's almost good to trade right here. So far in this session, we've only taken that one ES trade for a couple of ticks. This one right here for a couple of ticks. Well, there was a YM trade here that triggered. There was a YM trade here that triggered while I've been talking. And it's now 124. I only have 6 minutes left. Wow. Okay. We'll see if we get any more trades in here. Does anybody have any questions for me? Anybody have any questions about anything at this point? I'm not going to be back until Thursday. So if you have questions for me, now is the time. Even this weekend. I'm supposed to leave on Monday to go to Connecticut, but even this weekend we're going to be going. I'm heading out. So now is the time if you have any questions for me. And up close here on gold to be a trade. Get ready for it. Just need the up close, it'll trigger us in. And should be coming up here any second. It's gonna. Nope, no trade on the gold. That was close. The NQ could give us a trade, and up close over there on the NQ right now will be a trade. Oops, there it is. It is a trade on the NQ. Here it is. I don't have a very good fill on that, but it's a trade. It's going to go 10 ticks into profit. It'll automatically bump the stop to plus 1 tick after 10 ticks in profit. There it goes. There's 1 tick. I'm going to lock in. Man, at 0.25. I'm trying to lock in something. There's 8 ticks. Okay, so we're out with 8 on that. So far we've had 2 profitable trades. One here on the NQ and one over here on the S. The YM's almost got a trade right here. No, it doesn't. This doesn't do a full cycle. It doesn't have a trade. It's going to flip the YBR anyway. The S is flipping the YBR too. Okay, so all these YBRs are getting flipped up right now. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. All right, and we only have a few minutes left. The gold didn't go full cycle, so it needs to actually close up, get full cycle, and then come back to give us a trade. The NQ could give us a down close, get into the oversold, and then possibly give us a trade. The ES is going to flip the YBR right here, so that'll be bullish in just a second. The NQ's almost got the trade. We got the down close that got us into the oversold, but now we need to hit the midpoint and close up. Right, it could happen right here. Could happen right here on an up close. That's not actually off the midpoint right there. It didn't hit the midpoint. So you could grab it on a pullback right here if you want to. No, I guess no point grabbing it at all. I was going to say grab it on a pullback right here if you want to. But it did not hit the midpoint on right there though, so that was not a valid trade. The gold just came out of the oversold, but it's below everything, so you're not going to have a trade there. The NQ looks like it might flip the YBR. It might drop down and flip that YBR around. That is a possibility.
Bitcoin had its first red October, red Uptober, they call it, in 7 years.
Really?
It's still at 109. So I mean,
well, the day's not done. You know, what's it going to take to be a positive month for it? How much does it have to go up?
I don't know, honestly.
Hey, one of the things that I was gonna say earlier.
Well, I mean, like at midnight tonight, if it goes up $1 tomorrow, then that starts a green month. I mean,
yes.
I know you.
Okay, this ended up being no trade over here on the gold, and still no trade on the gold, and nothing here. We might have something there. Down close and an up close on the ES could give us 1 trade. So we wrap this up. Now we need an up close on the ES. That'd be our final trade of the week. Get the up close on the ES right here. So far we'd have 1 profitable trade here on the ES, 1 profitable trade on the NQ. And if you get an up close on this, I don't know whether it's going to be profitable or not, but it'll be a trade. And there it is, and it just gapped up a little bit. So one of my stops already at break even on it because it gapped up to the break even point. We have 1 tick. It will be profitable. I don't know where it's going to go from here though. It's right back at break even just about. Those 2 ticks. The NQ actually just gave another trade too. Now the ES and the NQ are going in opposite directions. We got 2 ticks on the ES, so that's our 3rd positive trade. And we've had 2 ticks here. We had 1 tick on the first one, 2 ticks on the second one. We had, I think, 12 or 16 on the NQ before. But I'm just going to wrap it up like this. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingIQ.com, click on the purple button right here. Bitcoin is up 660 right now. Click on the purple button right here. It's going to be into this registration page. Just fill it out. All right. I'm not going to be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but the room will be open. And be able to go in there and communicate with, well, anyone who's watching in there anyway.
Yep.
Your TradingView ID.
Yep. And I'll be around, but it won't be the normal training session. Our traders are going to be learning a lot about themselves and what they do and don't know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But I'll be hanging out and around and put something in the question box. I'll answer it.
Okay, excellent. So one of the things that I was going to say, Dwayne, is, you know, the 24/20 blueprint is based upon getting $100 per contract. And I looked last night in 2010, the average monthly range in 2010 was 89 points. The average monthly range right now is 399 points.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So it's a different market now. You know,
yeah, it is.
I was thinking we could change that daily goal to like 400 and it'd be more realistic. And getting 100 is a pretty simple thing to do most of the time. That's why I've gone 599 consecutive days of getting the goal.
Yeah, you know, there's been rumors since I first started trading futures in 2025 that eventually the markets are going to become so efficient. That's when they were first starting to talk about algorithms. You probably had never heard the word artificial intelligence except in a sci-fi movie. But they've said someday the markets will become so efficient that they're literally untradeable because it'll just be like a steady price. You won't be able to actively trade. And, well, while that day may come, I can't say that it won't. As you just laid out, it's only gotten better.
Yeah.
For the type of trading that we do, yeah.
Right, for the volatility, you know, the stuff that depends on volatility is getting better and better.
Yep.
All right. Well, so on the month, we're going to end October with $28,895 a contract, averaging $1,313 per day with one contract. So for on the year, $230,812 with one contract, averaging $1,214 per day with one contract. That's where we're going to wrap it up. And with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne is ready.
Ready I am.
Excellent.
Okay, a recap of the morning session.
Today it took 5 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,300 with 10 contracts.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Well, have safe travels, and if you need anything, you know how to reach me.
Excellent. All right, you too. Stay safe, everybody. Make good decisions.
And to your knowledge, we've got nothing rolling over this weekend, do we?
I don't think so.
See, crude, we're already in December. Gold's in December. The only thing, I think the first one to roll out of the batch that I keep on my charts is silver. So I'll check that one. Seems like it's about this time of year that we get our first 2026 contract. So
start to get the January stuff.
Yeah. So okay. All righty. Well, listen. Have a great trip. And my condolences. I know you're not going for fun and games, but be safe.
Well,
be safe. Yeah, you get to see family.
Right,
that's a good thing. All right. Okay, guys, we left off on crude. We covered all the other markets in granular detail, as we do. And when we looked at the ES earlier, we said it was headed to the short target. And I believe I threw out a trade opportunity. And if you took it, well, then this bell's for you. Bing. Okay. And we're consolidating at the zone. On the Dow, same thing. Earlier when I went through these in granular fashion, I said, looks like we're going to hit the short target, and we have. And the Russell still hasn't hit it, but it looks like it's gonna. We took out that low by just a little bit. We got red and falling overhead. So if price consolidates here, red and falling is going to continue to drop. And when you got that much red and falling, chasing price, you really should expect lower prices. So we could see, yeah, the step line is potential resistance overhead, and then you got the zone, and then the BBC, then red and falling. So yeah, I don't really foresee any potential for higher prices based on this chart. Now, you can always go to youtube.com/CFRN and watch today's broadcast in its entirety as soon as I sign off. That rectangle I drew earlier, well, that's the truth about trading. Okay. I think we said the entry was 25,910, and it only dropped to 892. So that would be 18 points at $20 a point. That would be $360 per contract traded. But I want to add this. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So the entry price, okay, whether it's a logic alert or if I simply draw a window of opportunity, especially a window this big, chances are, okay, that once price enters the window, there's going to be a retracement back to the entry point and possibly beyond, as we saw here. Okay. Now on this second trip, once we take out that previous low like we just did, see it? Okay. Should be like a heat-seeking missile headed for this short target. So hopefully you at least got something out of it. Okay. All right. And then crude, we opened below the BBC, the pullback held, went down to the short target. Support sent us to resistance. Remember, when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Resistance will send the market looking for support, short target, which bounced us up to the BBC and the pullback held. So we get another drop to the short target. Then we get above the BBC and we rally right through the long target. We take out yesterday's high and we put in a high way up here at, what is that high? 61.38. Now, where'd that resistance come from? Acquiring minds. I don't know. There you go, Jack. Now you're thinking, well, why not here? Well, you're absolutely right. It could have been there. So you should have been expecting resistance there, and you should have been expecting resistance there. And if price had traded through there, you should have then been expecting resistance there, there, and there. Okay? All right. So where are we now? Jammed up against a weekly trading zone. These are the zones published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern since December 14th of 2009. Every week we've provided these zones for our traders. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. When it drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Right there, perfect support, perfect resistance. Now, if you're not one of our traders, let me ask you a question. Having that kind of information a week, trading week, before it actually happens, wouldn't that improve your skills somehow, in some way? I mean, I don't know. For some reason, what's going on? Hang on a minute. Still looks like we're, oh, I see what happened. Okay. I was looking at my other monitor where I monitor what's going on YouTube. Okay. Everything's as it should be. Okay, so when blue and climbing gets directly above price, that becomes potential resistance. And of course, the zone is potential resistance. So from here, looks like we're going to take a trip. Now the step line, because it's directly below price, that could be support. But the way I look at things is as long as price is above the BBC, I'm going to be looking for long opportunities. Okay. When price is below the 30-minute BBC, I'm going to be looking for the short opportunities. That's just how I've done it for years. Okay. So we got two more markets that we haven't covered yet. We got gold. Gold opened last night, and in the first 30-minute candle, or the second 30-minute candle, it ran up from, we'll call it 40.44, 40.60. $1,600 per contract traded in that one candle. Then resistance will send the market looking for support, which it found at the weekly trading zone published Monday morning. Support, there's that consolidation you get 70% of the time. Again there, again there. Then we get a little pop, but we're unable to take out those early highs from last night, sign of weakness, and down we go and we hit the short target. Now, let's say you wanted to wait for price to see, like, I mean, right there at 39.89 down to the target, that's $400 per contract traded. Support has now sent the market looking for resistance. You got the zone, you got red and falling, you got the BBC. Take your pick. And silver has come off a bit. Silver opened last night and ran right up to the long target on the second candle, just like gold. Opened at 48.71 and ran up. Almost, it basically, it's about a $1,500 per contract move. We consolidated at the zone, and price got below the BBC. Now the zone is 48.21/22. We didn't come all the way down to the zone. Came down to 48.25, but buyers stepped in. It's not a spot I would have called for buyers to step in, okay, but they did. Support sends us back to the long target, resistance, which sends us back down to this same area of support. Then we put in a lower high. There's your sign of weakness. Price gets below the BBC, there's red and falling, and boom, we hit the short target. It's like pretty much to the tick. Come on, talk to me. The low was 47.97.5. Okay, sorry, I missed it by half a penny. And what was that based off of? Right here, do you see where the black step line crossed over to the left side of blue and climbing? Right there. That's an important price, important area. Okay. I submit into evidence this chart. So we're trying to spring back up, but it's got to overcome red and falling, and then there's the BBC. So how we close today remains to be seen. One last look at the daily chart. We could close, into the close, if institutional traders don't want to hold over the weekend, we could see the gap from Sunday night close. If we don't see it close today, then Sunday night, a gap lower open might do it. And that would give us a true island top. And that's real bearish. Let's say the market closed like right here, right now. Let's just say it closed right there. Then Sunday night, we open where we closed last Friday. There's going to be nothing but air here. And that's why it's called an island gap. And in this case, an island top. Okay. So either we close it today or we close it Sunday night. That's my thoughts. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Just let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you the information you need to get signed up. Once you're all signed up, she'll send you a lot of stuff. Create a folder in your email client. And every email she sends you, even if you don't know what it is or what it means, just put it in that folder. Because during your learning journey, this is no get-rich-quick thing. You're actually going to learn how to read charts and how to trade. Any market, any time frame. Day trade, swing trade, scalp, whatever you want, okay? Our methodology and our indicators will work for every market and every type of trading, okay? So, during your learning journey, let's say you're up working late at night, you can't sleep, whatever, or it's the weekend or a holiday and me and Michael and Valerie aren't around, and you need some kind of information. Guess what? Valerie already sent it to you. And all you got to do is go look in that folder you created, and you'll find whatever it is you need. Okay? Now, once you're all signed up, officially a passport holder, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. The next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be different. Okay? But aside from that, 2 hours live training every trading day in an interactive environment. On top of that, you have access to private one-on-one mentoring, no extra charge. All you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. So maybe you've been watching this and you're like, well, that's cool, but I don't do futures. Well, what do? Stocks, maybe crypto, maybe Forex, maybe ETFs. Guess what? Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. So when you learn our strategy, our methodology, and how to read our indicators, you can trade any market in any time frame. You get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of every broadcast, purpose of the Logic 247 alerts are to teach you how to read a chart. The bonus is, yeah, you can trade them as well, okay? But if you never trade a Logic 247 alert, you can still use them to learn how to read the chart. Just got to draw horizontal lines at every price that's in the alert. Pretty soon, you won't need the alerts, okay? You'll also get the concierge trade alerts every evening the second they're published, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open, 5:55 p.m. Eastern. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you'll get the weekly trading zones. Once they're published Monday morning, they're carved in stone the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. And on the NQ, you'll notice that we did get above the highest weekly trading zone midweek. But I said back on Wednesday when it happened, I said, if I close a business on Friday, we expect that the NQ will be at or below the highest weekly trading zone. And it looks like that's exactly how it's going to close out the week. Okay? Below the highest weekly zone. Now, there have been a handful of weeks over the last almost 16 years where we've had a market close above the highest weekly zone or below the lowest weekly zone. But Multiply 16 times 52. 16 times 52. Out of 832 weeks, I'm going to say maybe 20 weeks, we closed above or below the highest or lowest zone in some market. I'll even give it 50. Come on. We're talking 832 weeks. So, along with the weekly zones, you're going to get an invitation every Thursday night to attend the Members Only Workshop. And you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. How low? $5,000. $49.97 to be exact. Now, don't discount it just because it's a low price. A lot of people get it in their head, the more they pay for some kind of training program, the more valuable it is. I've seen some garbage sold for 20 grand a pop. I know people who've paid 20 grand a pop for crap. This is not like anything you've ever been a part of before. This is a community. You have around-the-clock support. You have live training every day. Private one-on-one mentoring as you need it. There really is no comparison. And I say that with all humility. God blessed us, but He didn't bless us just so we could be blessed. He blessed us so we could be a blessing to others. So, you're invited officially to become a part of the family. Let's wrap it up with our good word for today. How your faith can produce results. Faith is the confident assurance that something we want is going to happen. That's Hebrews 11:1. Now, King James, it's faith is the substance of things not seen. Oh, okay. Forget I said anything. Just go look at Hebrews 11:1. Faith has little to do with religion or what church you attend. The Greek definition of the word faith is pistis, which means a firm persuasion, conviction based on hearing and learning. Some other words that help to define faith are trust, confidence, and believing. Now, this is really important. I preached this sermon a bunch of times. The way we use the word faith today, we use it like a noun. What's your faith? Or keep the faith, baby. But in the original Greek, it was an action verb. I mean, Jesus was always doing something. He was either going somewhere with the disciples or healing people or going off by himself to pray. He was a man of action. So we've taken the word faith and we've neutered it. It's an action verb. It denotes doing something. Faith is not what you believe. Faith is what you do with what you believe. Think about that. And for good measure, here are a few scriptural descriptions of faith. The confident assurance that something we want is going to happen. The certainty that what we hope for is waiting for us, even though we cannot see it up ahead. The Bible tells us without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to Him must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. It also says, faith comes from hearing the Word, and the Word is heard through the Word about Christ. Romans 10:17. And the Apostle James writes in James 2:17, faith without works is dead. Faith, though it may be felt, isn't a feeling at all. The fact is, you can have faith and feel nothing. And you can feel nothing and still have faith. Nor is it related to intellectual or theological knowledge. Your IQ and level of education have nothing to do with your capacity to exercise faith. Effective faith calls for an act of your will. It's a choice you make to fully embrace what God says in His Word. When that happens, it creates a heart climate that motivates you to act in keeping with what you choose to believe. That's faith in a nutshell. Not a noun, but a verb. Get busy. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.